Hey guys. Alright, I want to talk about how good I think Legion Loyalty is. The new enchantment from D&D Baldur's Gate, the new commander set, basically gives all your creatures Myriad. But just before we get into the video for today, if you are enjoying the content that I'm putting out there, please do consider subscribing, turning on that notifications. It really helps us out. But with that being said, let's get right on into the video for today. I think this is a really good card. Certainly, I think it is really good. Definitely. But it is 8 mana. So, 8 mana is a lot to start with. But again, not undoable. It is a mono white card, but of course you can run it in other decks, of course. But, yeah, whatever. The only other real little problem that comes up with this card is that there's so many good legends that you wish you could copy with this, and that's going to stumble you up, and you're going to legend rule yourself, and you're going to be like, oh no. So that's the one little stumbling block that I keep finding that people keep forgetting and keep just kind of ignoring. Yes, sure, there are ways you can get around the legend rule in certain colors. If you're in blue, you can be running Sakashima and things like that, or you can be running Mirror Box. So there are a few answers here and there for that issue, but again, there's only a few of those cards, not a lot. Now, of course, there are a lot of non-legendary cards that you can copy, and that will be amazingly good, especially if you can find ways to keep those tokens around and whatnot, and keep getting more and more. It'll start becoming like Helm of the Host and things like that. Actually, if you have Helm of the Host and have copied something, you can use the Helm of the Host copy to attack with Myriad and create 4 more copies of it, which is pretty darn, or 3 more copies of it, but that's still pretty darn good. But anyway, anyway, there are a few little things like that that you could figure out with Legends. So it's not like it's just a dead thing, but I do think this card is really good once you start getting some value out of it. Now, of course, in theory, if you can play it at the right time, like a Craterhoof Behemoth style of an effect, basically as a sort of pseudo overrun, in a sense, that you could just win the game off of it with the right board state, of course, because that always comes down to the problem of like closing out games and things like that and being like, oh, well, you know what? I'm having this huge problem of needing to try to kill my opponents. I can maybe kill one of my opponents, but I just don't have enough pressure on the board to actually kill the other 2 people or even the other person that's at the table. So I'm just sitting here going, well, what can I do? Now, of course, I'm playing a different complete metagame, as I say, to people who are playing more competitive and more powerful decks. This is a casual card. This is not a competitive card, but still, it is one of those cards that if you're playing in that casual metagame where I'm sort of playing, this is a bomb card, and you probably want to try to find a way to find a place to put it into your deck, because it will be that good when you do play it and you do have that board state, and suddenly you can attack all of your opponents. And you get, even if you have a few legends on the battlefield here and there and whatnot, you won't care because the rest of your creatures are going to get copied 3 times over, and you're going to get all their ETBs. And even if you do lose them to combat or whatever, or even to the end step, even if you haven't won somehow, not considering that, even if they die or have dies triggers, you'll still get those things like that, especially if you have legends that do have when they die triggers and things like that, or when they have enters triggers. So you still might get enough value off of them, even if you do copy those legends. But it is one of those slight hurdles that you do have to get over, and you do have to realize, hey, well, I will lose those tokens of those legends unless I have something that gets me around the legend rule or whatnot. I actually saw somebody what's the replicating blue spell? I can't remember now, but they replicated their coma coil, and I was like, oh, okay, well, they all die. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll just copy my coma coils, not the coma itself. Oh, okay, cool. That's a lot of coma coils because he had doubling season and all this. So, but when you have like anointed procession and cards like this with this as well, those are going to really increase the power of something like this um, when it does its thing and whatnot. So that's going to be a really powerful effect and things like that. So and certainly again it affects token creatures as well. So if you've got your token army and you're sitting there going, well, I don't quite have enough tokens to kill everybody. Well, now suddenly you've got 3 times as many of any of the tokens that you've got. So you just triple however many tokens you've got, which is just like dumb. Even if they're going to go away at the end of the turn or whatever at the end of the combat, it's like, well, I don't care because like I will get more value out of it, like just doing that much damage anyway. Like even if it's dead next turn, I've still done a heck of a lot of damage, and I'm in a decent position to settle up to win next turn, even if I haven't won by that point, which in theory you should often just win off of this thing because it's just going to completely shift the math of how much damage you can sort of do in one turn. It triples your damage of whatever you've got on board. So that's really, really powerful. But you do have to remember, hey, how many legends am I running? Why am I running these legends specifically and things like that? And it's not to say that you shouldn't run any legends because you obviously have to run your commander and whatnot for this to be in your, to be in a deck in this format. So, but again, you need to go, oh, okay, cool. Well, what am I getting out of these legends if I am going to do something off of them? And I need to remember, okay, that's cool. I'm going to lose them in a minute, type thing. So just remember that little bit because I think a lot of people have glossed over that little bit of saying, oh, yeah, you can do all these things and blah, 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 bro, yes, sure, you can do all those really cool things, and I've talked about sort of a little bit of some of them here, but I don't want to talk about too many of them because we're going to be here forever. But again, like it's a really great card, but you do need to realize, oh, okay, cool, yes, there are some things I need to know and need to figure out. Oh, if I just put in a legend that doesn't really do a whole lot, and it kind of relies on something else or whatever, it's kind of like, well, if I myriad that, then it's probably not as good. So I might just want to leave that back and not attack with it so that I don't need to worry about the whole myriad thing, and it's better just sitting there anyway. So, yeah, that's one of those things. But anyway, guys, that is my thoughts on this new card. It's really good, and I think I might even put it into my enchantment deck. I don't know quite yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, because that deck doesn't have many legends except for my commander, and that commander almost never attacks and whatnot. So, and even if it does, I guess it doesn't really matter because, yeah, it doesn't really matter for the most part, But again, it's really good. So, but yeah, I will consider it, and I hope you guys will consider it into some of your decks because there's certainly some really good decks that it could go into, especially if you've got the right synergies or you've got the right things going on and whatnot. You can take advantage of some of those tokens, like you've got an aristocrats deck, you can just sacrifice all those tokens and whatnot anyway, so it don't really matter, or you just get some more value out of them in other ways, whatnot. Or you can end the turn, end the phase, whatnot, those sorts of things. Keep those tokens around, get more and more of them next turn. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. So, yeah, there's definitely lots of things that you can build around, even with some of these cards that go into the 99, which is a fun thing to, do sometimes and make sure you've got those synergies going. But yeah, you can let me know your thoughts on this card. Am I so super duper wrong about this card? Is it the most amazing Pog Champ card ever? Or is it absolute total trash? because you're playing CDH and you never attack and whatnot, and you combo off on turn 0 and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. You can let me know all that. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. I'll be sure to respond to all the comments that I can get to. Really love interacting with you guys, talking about EDH and the geeky things that we love. But yeah, if I don't see you down there in those comments, I'll see you in the next one.